coming up on the March 9th edition of Carolina Week.
Across the country, there's a heated battle. Just how do you define a marriage? People in Chapel Hill are speaking out.
In Raleigh, some want to beef up security in bars, but others don't see the need.
And in sports, Monday night it was Duke versus Carolina again for another ACC tournament championship.
Plus your Carolina Week 4-day forecast.
All that and more.
Carolina Week starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening, I'm Lydia Garlico.
And I'm Joe Mott. Thanks for joining us.
Legislatures across the nation are facing the same polarizing issue. Should same-sex marriages and civil unions be banned?
These issues are now on their way to Raleigh. Chapel Hill's Town Council approved a legislative agenda Monday night before an unusually large crowd that came in support of and opposition to the items the council is lobbying for.
Yes, people yell at their car windows on Chapel Hill.
Emotions ran high and seats were scarce at Monday night's Chapel Hill Town Council meeting. The committee was there to approve the agenda it's forwarding to the legislative delegation, and on it was a controversial issue.
Marriage is the fabric that holds our society together.
The council heard opinions about the agenda put forth by Councilman Mark Kleinschmidt. It includes repealing the Defense of Marriage Act in the state and adding sexual orientation to the state's hate crime laws. It's a hot topic after UNC student Thomas Stockwell said he was assaulted at this corner on Franklin Street because of his sexual orientation. Supporters and opponents overflowed into the hallways and even outside to get a glimpse of the meeting.
I cannot help but support these legislative requests.
I'm going to support. I support the dignity and respect of the individual.
It's about treating people the same.
After speakers from both sides were heard, the council then unanimously approved the agenda. That was no surprise to opponents, even though they said the council is acting without the support of a large part of the town's population.
We expected that, but we felt we had to stand up and speak the truth.
Supporters of the council said the issue isn't about the numbers of people who support it, but about equality.
It's an inherently discriminatory, unfair law. That fact never changes no matter who's on what side, no matter what the numbers are.
With students and townspeople on both sides of a controversial issue, Chapel Hill will have to wait for the legislature to decide which side to support. The council chamber legally holds 185 people. About twice that many showed up for the meeting.
The Chapel Hill Police Department has positions to fill and is having trouble finding a few good men and women. Chapel Hill has had 10 openings for police officers for more than a year. The jobs opened up because of routine turnover. Finding replacement officers has been a struggle. The department has asked the town for more money to try to compete with the pay and benefits offered by other area law enforcement agencies. Police Chief Greg Jarvie says a competitive salary would be about $33,000. That's about $3,000 more than the city currently pays. Officials also can offer perks such as take-home cars. They proposed a plan for an education incentive that would result in extra pay for degrees earned.
Officers are looking at security issues in Raleigh, too.
That's right. They're focusing on not adding security, but on whether an ordinance requires too much security at certain times and in certain places. Erin McBeth is live in the studio with more. Erin?
At issue is a Raleigh City ordinance requiring bars and restaurants to hire their own security. The law has been in place for 8 years, and while some people think it's needed, others think it's a waste of manpower and money. The Amplified Entertainment Ordinance requires a security officer to be present outside any establishment that holds more than 99 people and provides music or live entertainment. In most cases, this means an officer patrolling the parking lot of a business between the hours of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. In September, the City Council temporarily suspended the statute. Now the City Council's Law and Public Safety Committee is pushing to have it eliminated permanently. The committee's chairman, William Isley, says the law requires security at bars when it really isn't necessary.
They'd have a slow night on a Wednesday night, say no one was really there. They might have 20 people in the bar or the club. And if they didn't have a police officer there, they would be liable to get a ticket.
Isley also says high costs can be a burden for small local businesses.
$30 to $40 an hour up to 7, 8 hours a night, 7 days a week, which is an enormous amount of money.
Another committee member, Mike Regan, says police should be used in problematic areas, not at every bar and restaurant.
If 90% don't cause problems and 10% do, don't make any of them have to hire police protection. Just use the police officers we have and provide protection where we need it.
Councilwoman Jessie Taliaferro disagrees. She says without mandatory security in place at bars, Raleigh police could be stretched too thin.
If all of our police officers are running around checking out these potential hot spots that we know every Friday, Saturday night are going to be potential hot spots, that when there is a crisis or is a problem, that they will not be able to respond the way that we expect them to.
Taliaferro hopes the City Council can work with Raleigh Police to find a compromise. The Council will hold a special meeting next Wednesday to discuss the issue further. Lydia?
Erin Macbeth reporting in the studio. Thanks, Erin.
If you're heading out to the bars, your drinks might soon become a bit stronger, thanks to one local lobbyist group. The group Pop the Cap wants to get rid of the 6% alcohol content cap on all malt beverages made in or imported to North Carolina. It's gotten support from the North Carolina House of Representatives and local bar workers who say removing the cap would help the state's revenue.
The state's losing money, people going just across the border to Virginia to get the 6.0 beers that they really like.
North Carolina is one of only 5 states with the cap. Mill owners pushed for the cap in 1935 because they were worried workers might not show up for their jobs on Mondays.
In a tight budget year, many citizens and officials have debated delaying the largest project in town history. But the Chapel Hill Town Council has decided to keep $43.7 million, the project of the town center, on schedule. The cost of the center, which will house public works and transit services, might lead to a 20% increase in property tax. Officials debated postponing construction a year or two to save money, but say in the long run the project would be more expensive if they waited. Well, across the Triangle, people are discussing ideas for some transportation transformations.
Lydia, I'm sure we can all attest to those rush hour jams are just terrible. They're frustrating. And the area hopes to remedy that. On Monday, Dr. Spencer Havlick spoke to UNC about techniques to manage traffic congestion. Part of Havlick's recommendation for UNC is to find incentives that encourage students to find alternatives to driving cars. The university has already created the Commuter Alternatives Program, which encourages all forms of transportation, including walking, bicycling, and also carpooling. Havlick says reducing traffic congestion is important for the future.
You look down in the next 10 or 15 or 20 years, the place is going to be overrun with cars. And cars, for the most part, are not very healthy. They pollute, they make noise, they fill space that should be used for other valuable purposes.
North Carolina might become the 35th state to fill some space on the highways with toll booths. Drivers would have to pay a $10 toll when they enter the state on I-95. In 2003, Governor Easley rejected the idea, saying it wasn't fair to put new tolls on old roads. In addition, the newly created North Carolina Turnpike Authority is proposing to build toll booths on new roads. One suggestion is to build a toll road through Research Triangle Park. It would run parallel to I-40.
Well, smoking, one report says it kills thousands of people each year.
Thousands of people who never even touch a cigarette. We'll explain coming up.
North Carolina is where the wonders never cease. It's where visitors and residents alike can be touched by these things and always remember the embrace of clouds around a mountain peak, sparkling water forever in a hurry, a bridge less traveled, an enchanted wetland forest, and a place where the sun meets the sea.
You know, Clarence, you and I should hang out more often. You know, he wears these cheap suits, but they look good on him.
So she says, why lobster?
You never know when a colon polyp is going to show up.
Aunt Ethel, you've been ducking me since '99 at St. Mary's. You
Get the
owe me a
polyp
lot.
early and stop colon cancer before it starts.
Do I look fat in this?
Don't wait for symptoms. Get the test. Get the polyp.
They love me. They want me here, don't you? Come on.
Get the cure.
These are my peeps.
An Environmental Protection Agency report estimates secondhand smoke is responsible for about 3,000 lung cancer deaths in the U.S. each year.
Medical reporter Subhashini Joy reports lung cancer isn't the only problem facing people exposed to smoke.
You don't have to smoke to suffer the ill effects of cigarettes. Working in a bar can take its toll, as one UNC student and part-time bartender found out.
The smoke was really bad, and I started sneezing and kind of coughing while I was working. And then when I woke up, I had a sore throat. And the next night it was the same.
That's because inhaling secondhand smoke causes real health problems.
When we talk about secondhand smoke, a lot of people think that lung cancer is the #1 concern. But in reality, heart disease is an even bigger concern when it comes to secondhand smoke.
The EPA reports about 1,000 people in North Carolina die from heart disease each year from exposure to secondhand smoke. It's not just the smoke exhaled by the smoker that's a problem, it's also the smoke from the unfiltered end of a burning cigarette that contains ammonia, formaldehyde, and 3,000 other chemicals. Those chemicals drive up your heart rate and blood pressure and lead to stiffening arteries. That's a risk factor for heart disease and stroke. The National Cancer Institute reports non-smoking workers exposed to secondhand smoke are 1/3 more likely to get lung cancer than those who work in a smoke-free environment. If you're concerned about the effects of secondhand smoke, look for non-smoking bars and restaurants. In Chapel Hill, I'm Subhashini Joy, Carolina Week.
Governor Easley's latest budget proposal includes a 45-cent increase on cigarette tax in an effort to increase revenue. It might also help decrease cigarette smoking in the state.
North Carolina is looking for an ad agency to launch a campaign aimed at preventing teen smoking in the state. The North Carolina Health and Wellness Trust Fund Commission wants to stop teen smoking through a $7.4 million ad campaign. 4 ad agencies in the Triangle are vying for the contract. Capstrat has the contract now, but Brogan and Partners Convergence Marketing, Howard Merrill and Partners, and Market Smart Advertising also submitted bids.
You've probably never thought about the cost of copying on campus. An old-fashioned black and white 8.5 by 11 copy, it's just a few pennies, right? Well, reporter Nora Warren tells us those pennies might add up to a change on campus.
Swipe, start, snatch. At Kinko's, pushing that little green button costs just 8 cents a copy. But at UNC, you'll pay almost twice that amount. This man had to put extra money on his one card just to afford his copies.
I might as well just go to Kinko's.
The Carolina Copy Service says its prices rise when the number of students using the service drops.
Our volume has gone down about 25% a year.
In August, the cost per copy went from 10 cents to 14 cents, prompting librarians to consider dropping Carolina Copy.
We've heard from others who've done this that it has been equally problematic.
But if students can go to places like Kinko's, it's just a matter of competition, right?
Not if you want something from here. Items from the reference desk at Davis Library can't be taken out of the building, so if you want to take something home, you'll have to pay whatever Carolina Copy charges.
To Strauss, the cost of replacing a lost book simply outweighs the need to keep copy costs down.
We have, for example, some business directories that retail for $1,500 or more.
Carolina Copy says the high price isn't resulting in a profit.
Doesn't do us any good to make the extra money because we are controlled by university budget guidelines.
But librarians are still looking for other alternatives.
I can't name a library that has a really great photocopying service, and if we knew of one, we would copy it slavishly.
And copying what another library is doing could mean cheaper copies for you. In Chapel Hill, I'm Nora Warren, Carolina Week.
If you think the cost of making a copy is too high on campus, Associate University librarian Diane Strauss says you can appeal to the Student Advisory Board. The board meets on April 1st.
It seems like everyone walking around on campus has those little white headphones these days, but now iPods will face some competition. Sony's coming out with new portable music devices that could give those iPods a run for their money. The company launched a new lineup of portable music players in an attempt to grab back market share from Apple's mega popular iPod. The new Walkman units will use flash memory for data storage. They'll range in price from $90 to $465, but will they be able to compete?
iPod's got such a big following already that they automatically use iTunes if they're going to buy their music.
So unless Sony's compatible with that, which it won't be, then I don't think they can be competitive.
The various models will hit the market between late March and May. Well, weathercaster Rob Ellis has got our weather now.
Rob, a couple universities are on spring break. I know UNC's is next week. Tell me we have good weather coming.
Well, it may not be picture perfect, but we'll check out that chance for showers coming up in your 4-day forecast when Carolina Week returns.
Recycling a glass bottle saves enough energy to run the TV you're watching for 1 full hour. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Making a can from recycled aluminum instead of from raw materials reduces air pollution by 95%. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Recycling all our Sunday papers would save over 500,000 trees a week. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world.
What services come to mind when you think of the American Red Cross?
The Red Cross does blood drives, don't they?
They help out with natural disasters.
Giving blood.
Tornadoes and hurricanes.
Blood. Natural disasters.
I'll bet you didn't know that the American Red Cross also provides emergency services for military families and delivers health and safety instruction in first aid, lifeguard training, and CPR. Contact your local Red Cross chapter to learn more about the services they provide.
Well, welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weathercaster Rob Ellis. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather headlines. We do have some showers on the way for our forecast starting out your spring break. We'll get to the 4-day forecast in just one moment, but we're going to be stuck in a rut. This pattern is going to be continuing. We're going to see cloudy conditions, and it will remain cool because we are going to have those clouds in place. Let's take a look at the satellite map and see what's going on. This area of cloudiness is what is left over from that severe system that moved through on Tuesday morning, and I actually wanted to read off a couple of storm reports that we have that were actually reported in the Chapel Hill area. We actually had pea-size hail covering the ground in Chapel Hill, and also reported by law enforcement we had golf ball-size hail reported right here in Chapel Hill, as well as actually a few tornadoes that were actually reported in the southeast part of the state. So this system that moved through was very strong. Now let's go ahead and look at the surface map to see if the system that's coming through next is going to be quite so strong. Here's that system. We don't think that it's going to have quite the punch. It's not going to have the moisture in place to bring us that severe weather like the previous system did. So this is the next system, and this conveyor belt of energy is going to continue. These systems are going to roll through one after the other, and because there's going to be not quite as much moisture, we're going to be left with cloudiness, and that's going to keep our conditions cold. If we look at the 4-day forecast, we can actually see that in our temperatures starting out to begin your spring break. I know most of you are beginning spring break this Friday. Rainy, I'm sorry to say. Temperatures are going to be quite cool, and I wouldn't be surprised if you actually saw a few flakes of snow mixed in with some of this rainfall, depending on what time of day this system moves in. The air will be cold in the upper levels to bring us some of that snowfall. If you look at Saturday through Monday, carbon copies of each other, cloudy conditions through most of the day. You may see the sun peek through a little bit, but mostly temperatures high 51, around 50 degrees, lows overnight below freezing, 30 degrees for Saturday and Sunday, low overnight, Monday 31. So like I said, it's spring break, so let's hit the big spring break destinations. We'll start out east at the beach. Doesn't look so good, but hopefully if you're planning to go down to the beach, maybe you'll get there after these systems move through. Saturday and Sunday, we will see a chance for some showers to move through. High 48 on Saturday, low overnight 38, and Sunday much of the same, high around 50 degrees and low overnight just below 40. Let's head the other direction. If you're planning on going out to the mountains, here's your forecast. You may see a chance for some snow in the mountains. Of course, rain in the valleys, snow in the upper elevations. High 45 on Saturday, low overnight 28 degrees. 50 degrees on Sunday, low overnight 30. And if you are planning, because it is spring break, to take a trip out to the mountains, Appalachian Ski Resort is actually reporting 45 to 130-inch base. All the slopes are open. If you look at Ski Beach, it's going to be reporting 36 to 48 inches. All 14 slopes are open. And if you look at Sugar Mountain, 43 to 75-inch base. 20 of the slopes are open. So that's your ski report if you're planning on spending the first part of your spring break up in the mountains.
Rob, I'm definitely not planning on going to go skiing in the mountains. I mean, this is spring break. I think we need to go to the beach.
Sounds like a plan. Hopefully we'll get some of these systems out there and we'll actually get some spring weather for spring break.
No more ski forecasts coming up. All right, thank you.
No matter where I am, whether it's hot or not, I will be where there is a TV. We've had Carolina's had huge wins in the past. Looking for some big games.
Huge games. This past weekend was great with the women's ACC tournament. Next weekend, you better have your dials.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm going to be by the TV wherever I need to be. Yeah.
That's right. Yep. It's in DC, so most people will probably be in Miami. So got to watch it on TV. But first, coming up on sports, we all see the results of Carolina's athletes on the field. And coming up on Carolina Week Sports, we'll show just how much work all these athletes have to go through during the off season that you never get to see.
Find ways to make your home more defensible against wildfire. What have you got to lose? Except everything.
Excuse me. I've been getting mixed messages about women and violence. I need a little clarification.
Uncle Bill, how am I supposed to grow up to respect women when I have such lousy role models?
Boys are never going to approach you.
Can you help me reshape my attitudes towards women?
You need to teach them that violence against women is wrong.
Welcome back to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Ann Sexton, and proud to be the messenger when the message is Carolina beats Duke again. After the men's team tore up Duke for the first time on Sunday, the women's basketball team had a chance to rip on the Lady Blue Devils for the third time and claim the ACC tournament title. Carolina hit the court with a purpose Monday night, but it took the Heels a while to warm up, missing shots and letting Duke's Monique Curry grab the Blue Devils' first 10 points. Then here comes Ivory Latta breaking a 3-minute drought, putting the Heels on a tear with Carolina hitting three after, oh my God, another three, leaving Duke a little frustrated as UNC leads 40-35 at the end of the first half. In the second, Elena Larkin shows size doesn't matter as she scores over 6'7" Allison Bales. Then Carolina decides to spice up its threes as Latangela Atkinson hits her second and one of the Heels' 10 for the night. After tourney MVP Ivory Latta puts the Heels up more than 20, Carolina says goodbye to last year's champs and hello to the Heels' first tournament title since 1998. Final score 88-67. If the Lady Heels winning the ACC championship doesn't make your day, I'm sure this will. On the men's side, leading scorer Rashad McCants has been cleared by team doctors to practice as early as Wednesday afternoon. Head coach Roy Williams says McCants' progress will determine whether he plays in the ACC tournament. We cheer for our favorite Tar Heels during their competitive season, but what happens when the season's over? Sports reporter Heather Catlin tells us why being a collegiate athlete is a full-time job all year long.
The Hurricanes, Wolfpack, or the Yellow Jackets won't be in Chapel Hill next Saturday, so why is the football team practicing in Kenan Stadium? It's spring practice, a phase of their off-season training. The only time fans cheer on their favorite Tar Heels is during the competitive season, but for every sport, the training doesn't stop there. Jeff Connors, Assistant Athletic Director for Strength and Conditioning, says the off-season program is imperative to an athlete's performance, and for the football team, it's not all about crashing into each other.
For football, we have specific attributes that we're trying to develop. Hip rotary power, absolute strength in upper and lower upper body punch, agility, change of direction, what we call acceleration, deceleration, reacceleration.
Senior Justin Phillip weighed 190 pounds before training with the football team, and just after 3 years has gained 55 pounds of solid muscle. He says the lifting and running makes a difference on the field.
It gives you strength you need for the season so you can last and be productive.
The goal of the strength and conditioning program is to improve an athlete's overall performance, strength, and speed.
As you can see, athletes work just as hard in the off-season as they do in season, except they concentrate on strength and conditioning rather than competition.
Thanks to off-season training, the Heels will continue to dominate their competition. In Chapel Hill, I'm Heather Catlin, Carolina Week Sports.
To help encourage the athletes to work even harder during the offseason, the Strength and Conditioning Program gives awards to the top male and female performers. After dropping all 3 games during the weekend, each by only 1 run, the baseball team looked to get back on the winning track Wednesday afternoon against College of Charleston. While the Heels were distracted in a rundown for second base, the Cougars, they snuck in the first run of the game past catcher Benji Johnson. Johnson would get his revenge with his double to left field. Oh, wait, will he get it? Oh, that had to hurt. But it helped Chad Flack and Seth Williams pass home plate in the first inning. The lead seesawed back and forth. The Cougars' Oliver Marmol hit a 3-run dinger. Then Carolina's Matt Ellington hit a 3-run homer of his own. And another 3-run homer put the Heels up 11-7 in the top of the 7th. In softball, Gardner-Webb got ahead early with 2 hits in the first inning. In the second inning, with bases loaded, Gardner-Webb pitcher Stacy Reichert walks another Tar Heel, and Carolina's Anna Evans crosses home plate. In Game 1 of the doubleheader, Gardner-Webb led the Tar Heels in the bottom of the 6th, 5-2. Well, it seems that we have some other extra special honors for basketball with, even though McCants is back, Raymond Felton, Sean May, all ACC first team.
Oh, that's so great. It's an interesting team with 3 guards. You got Reddick, Chris Paul, and Felton, and then 2 centers. It's kind of interesting all ACC team.
That would be interesting to see them play on the court. That's all I have to say.
I'm just glad Rashad is back. That's good.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, Ann. Well, spring break is almost here.
You might be ready, but what about your skin? We'll take a look at the pros and cons of tanning, whether you're catching rays or getting sprays.
About the mom and the mechanic? They made a big splash running a car wash. See, the local PTA, an auto body shop, and their community coalition organized car washes, raising money to expand after-school programs. They knew keeping kids busy keeps them away from drugs. So now the town's got clean cars and clean kids. What can your group do? Contact your community coalition at helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more
when you get together.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
By now, you've probably already made your spring break travel plans, so what are the hot spots this year? We went to STA Travel to find out. Hundreds of students have visited STA during the past few weeks. A lot of popular travel packages were for trips inside the states, but STA branch manager Cassandra Chambers says this year, the Bahamas is the place to be.
Probably the most places that people really like to go that we've seen is Bahamas. We had a lot of people who were driving down to Florida and doing kind of the Bahama cruise out of Fort Lauderdale to Bahamas.
The agency also offers volunteer trips to Sri Lanka to help with tsunami relief and cultural trips to Europe. You know, if you haven't made your travel plans yet, it's not too late. At some travel agencies, you can book last-minute trips up to 3 hours before you can leave.
It's crazy. Well, as Sean Maroney tells us, there's another type of spring break preparation that you need to start a lot earlier.
It's expensive, it's dangerous, but for the many college students who visit tanning salons each week, it's worth it.
It makes you look healthy, even though it's kind of ironic because later on in life you look like a piece of leather, so.
For now, UNC juniors Kristen Curtis and Ashley McKnight say tanning is a necessity.
Tanning is a big part of my planning process for spring break.
Doctors say tanning beds can cause some serious damage, but Kristen says she's not worried.
My theory is that by the time I get cancer from the tanning bed, that they will have a cure to cancer.
If you don't buy into her theory, and the thought of being closed inside what some call a cancer coffin makes you panic, you can opt for a spray tan. But beware, it too has side effects.
It's really stinky, and you smell kind of bad for like a couple days afterwards.
However, according to these students, the pros of a tan outweigh any cons.
People are just more attracted to people that are tan.
And isn't that what spring break is all about? In Chapel Hill, I'm Sean Maroney, Carolina Week.
I'm definitely one of those people that I haven't quite solidified my plans yet, but wherever I am, I will be with the TV watching Carolina Tar
Very
Heels.
true. We need to get out there and get some real sun, maybe. We are a little pale, but I think
little bit.
it'll be okay. A lot of people are going to the Bahamas or different breaks like that, but also a lot of people are going to stick around Chapel Hill and then maybe go up to D.C. for the ACC tournament and then wait and hear where we're going to be for first round for the NCAA tournament the following weekend.
Very important news, just as important maybe is that summer tan.
Maybe so. Well, hopefully everybody can get out and get their tan and maybe watch some basketball.
That's going to do it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thank you very much for watching, and good night.